So what other forms of inspiration do you have in terms of writing? Like you mentioned these writers and poets.
Music.
Music?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you listen to your iPod. What kind of music really?
Recently, it's been more indie, but I've always been in love with classic rock, AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, things like that. But recently, indie has caught my eye.
Does they help? Do you write when you're? Do you listen to music while you're writing?
Um, Depends on how serious about the topic. Creative writing, no. Um, if I'm just writing about just a paper, any or paper, no, not real. I will listen to music, but creative writing, no.
Do you think there's a link between music and writing?
Yeah, I do. It all has to do with depending on which kind of music you're listening to, what genre. I mean, it's all in the same form of art: writing, music, literature, art. I think it all has a link. You know, how you think about things, how you interpret things. I think it all links together.
And if you were to describe or characterize the uniqueness of your writing, like what you do best in writing, how would you describe that?
Maybe not in every paper that I do, depending on how much passion or intensity I put into it.
Yeah.
I tend to speak my mind, pretty much. Even if it's just a paper where it has to be a page, just for credit, you did it. I tend to put my view on it, no matter how simplistic, sarcastic, jokes, I tend to just do that. It keeps me so I'm entertained, like, about the topic. I won't get bored with it that way. And sometimes it's entertaining to the reader, sometimes it's not. I don't really care. However I expressed it, it came out. That's how I viewed it, that's how I felt it should have been interpreted in my way.
So like the element of the personal, something of your own
I feel
experience.
like it should.
Yeah.
If it's coming from you, it should feel like it's coming from you.
I completely agree with you because I've had to read a lot of academic writings over the years, and the best academic writing, despite all the citations and formats, the MLA or the Chicago Manual style, the best ones you can see the author's mind and his or her experience really bleed into the words, and those are the ones that linger and resonate the most intensely in your mind, as opposed to all the sort of mechanically done or very formalistic type of writing. And I think this is true, of course, of creative writing as well. So, how do you perceive how do you perceive the role of writing in your life in the future? Do you see something, like after school, do you see something you're going to be doing very, very regularly?
Well, being an Asian studies major, I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I'm going to do with that. But I've always been good at writing. I've never needed to go get help for it or anything. I considered journalism, but I've just always had a fascination with the Asian culture, so I figured that should be my major. In the future, I do see me doing something with writing, whether it's, just translating work, which has to do with words, or whether it's writing papers for a class, teaching. I think I will be doing something with writing.
You mentioned before we started filming or talking about your paper, about your class in learning Japanese. What prompted? I guess where I'm leading up to this is myself, learning Japanese when I was very young, my first language, and then reading literature or books in Japanese, and then reading stuff in English and doing translation has really made me aware of the different aspects of use of language and writing. Has this been the case for you when you start to learn Japanese?
Well, it was a little different for me because I started out, in my 8th grade, I was in Japan, and I started learning from a Japanese teacher in Japan about the language, and then just interacting with the Japanese. It's a little different than learning it here in America. I feel like sensei has to do a little bit different than maybe how she'd teach it in Japan. But I feel going over some of the culture aspects of Japan with the language is a little confusing, maybe. But going over Japanese now, I feel it's more difficult here than it was over there.
Really? Because
Yeah.
there you were immersed in it, you don't really have to think twice about
I
it?
was there every day, and I felt like it just came naturally. Whereas now that I'm actually learning about the different parts, the grammar, the word choice, I feel it's a little harder learning it here than it was over there.
But you're planning eventually to go to Japan, right?
Probably this summer.
Yeah. And is this part of the
Study
program?
abroad? Yes.
Cool, cool. You know, because I think the best way to really learn language is to go to the place where it's spoken and just kind of get lost in it and make a lot of mistakes, of course. I mean, you can't really learn from not making mistakes. So, well, what is your immediate, like, project now? I mean, obviously one is to study abroad, but do you have particular ambitions or dreams right after you finish school? I know you're pulled in different direction, you know, journalist and other things too, but...
Yeah, well, I know I've always been really good with children, so I'm still trying to figure out if I'm going to maybe take the JET program that Sensei has going, but I still want to travel, not just to Japan, but other places as well, other places in Asia, around the world.
Yeah.
I've been doing that all my life, so I have to figure out exactly how this will work, but being bilingual definitely will help.
What is it about traveling that really makes you want to do it again? Because some people don't want to leave their hometown or don't want to go abroad.
I noticed that when I moved here. A lot of people haven't even been out of Ohio. Well, the fact that I've moved every 2 years because my father was in the military made it so I feel a little claustrophobic. Being here for way too long, I already do feel claustrophobic. But the fact that I'm learning about different cultures makes me more open-minded than a lot of other people who have stayed in one place, I feel. I've gotten to know a lot more different people, their views on life, and I just feel it's great.
Yeah.
I just feel that's awesome to learn about different cultures, religions, different, you know, whatever, dance, music.
So you definitely suggest for people who want to be writers that traveling is an important component because it does widen the horizon of experience.
I do, especially writing. It'll definitely open up your mind more to different things.
Yeah, because especially you're also hearing different ways in which language is spoken or used, right? Whether it's English or any other languages.